Spider cat, doing everything a spider cat does. Climbing walls all the day, saving you from the pain. Spider cat, keeping you free. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, I am SocioPsycho, and this is Mob Reviews, and today we will be taking a look at Murdered Soul Suspect. This was created by Air Right Games, and it is a port over from your consoles. It is available for PC, and it is a detective atmospheric horror game with some investigation options in it, heavy, very heavy on the cinematical aspect of the game. It plays more like a interactive movie rather than a game. But why would I say something so hurtful like that? And is that bad? Well, let's find out exactly what the game stands for, and we will start in the options menu. Now, I was pleasantly surprised when I jumped into the option menu the first time, as I was not expecting such a large crossover of graphic options available for the PC. It is definitely nice to see that they put effort into that category. The game graphically does look decent, and I've not had any performance issues to a point, depending on your perspective. I did not have any crashes, tearing, or clipping, but the game did run at 30 frames per second. Now, if you play consoles, that may be something you're used to, and as a PC gamer, that may be something you detest, seeing how mobile games can end up running faster than 30 frames per second. So while it has all these amazing graphical options available to you to play with, it runs at 30 frames per second. And if you know what frames per second are, the faster and higher you have, the smoother the gameplay feels. The better the interaction with the character and the movements and the fluidity. But like I said, it plays as an interactive movie at best rather than an actual game. So your gameplay experiences during it are actually quite small, and there's not really that much you're doing when you are playing rather than walking around. So it gets by on 30 frames per second, but yeah. Now, when we go into the game options, it is a bit unfortunate that you don't have the option to rebind any of your keys. This boggles my mind why you would not. You're in a port, so obviously you're coming over from a big company. It's not that difficult to put a rebindable option in the game, and you open up your market to more people. Even if the layout of the keys are very small, you don't have the availability to do it. And you say, whoa, Socio, man, why are you flipping out over a company? Other companies have done it. Other companies haven't had this budget or team size. This is a port. I expect more from a game of this stature or price range. You can't afford the time development-wise to add a little key binding for people who have issues with those controls or their left hand or some variation. That's just fucking pathetic. What is nice though is the AV options. You do have a brightness adjuster, which is nice. Subtitles, although I found on the subtitle aspect that if you have them on, the character link-ups in between what they are saying versus what you see on the subtext are so off. If a character requires to say, oh man, ... you'll still see the entire next sentence or two that he's going to say. So it kind of is like climatic. It's like, well, come on. When are you going to do it? Come here, boy. Come on. You can do it. And then 5 minutes later, he starts talking about the next sentence. And it's like, oh, wow, I never saw that coming. The music in the game, though, is actually done pretty well. As I said, the game has an atmospheric element to it in a sort of horror-esque feel. The game is not a horror game. It just has an underlying atmosphere due to the story and location. Obviously, that's the whole point of atmosphere. The sounds and the music are done very well, as well as the voice acting, and we'll go more into that during the actual story element when we talk about that. You will have to navigate the controls by the keyboard and the mouse, which is not too bad, but yeah. So when we jump in here, the first thing that I'm going to talk about is the story of the game. Now, during the story, the whole point of the entire game is that you are trying to solve the last murder case you're on, which ended with you dying. You were murdered. No spoilers there. The whole point of the game is you're a ghost. You've been killed by a murderer and you're trying to seek not necessarily vengeance, but you're trying to seek a finalization understanding of what happened. Story-wise, they threw in some cheesy elements of, oh, you were a tough badass and then you lost the love of your life. And it made you so sad and you joined the police and then you died, but you can't move on. No, you can't move on because you have to finish what you're doing before you find your true love. Really? You're gonna pull that corny love card shit on me? Alright, I get it. I died. I'm a ghost. Obviously, I didn't cross over, as the story wants me to believe. I get that. But I don't need some cheesy, half-done story element where it's like, hey, this is your last love. This is why you can't pass on, or this is one reason why you can't pass on. And then throughout the rest of the game, not bring it up at all. You have minor little side items that you pick up that help explain a certain aspect. As you can see here, in this category of items that you have the availability to pick up, you have clues and side cases. The controls of it are a little annoying. The fact that you don't have really mouse control in this regard, it's very annoying. You have to use a combination of your arrow keys, Q and E, and 1 and 3. But while you can navigate through it, they want the roundabout way of doing it, I would say. Instead of allowing you to use W and S, you have to use the arrow keys. And now, why? Just why? And it is also, on top of being an interactive movie, it is a hidden object game, not really a detective game. And so as you can see in here, you have these side quests. You can see numbers 1 out of 23 or 8 out of 8, and so on, as you can see, side quests. And it scrolls down the items that you've collected of this. And once you collect all the items, it tells you a little story of that item that's associated with it. Oh, isn't that nice? So what are these items? Well, they're collectibles, as you can see in the top right corner, 126 out of 173. They are not hard to find, and it might add some lore or context or depth to the story or the world, but it really doesn't do anything for the actual gameplay progression of it. It tries to fill in a gap in the actual gameplay by saying, hey, look, items spread out all across the world in so many areas, just pick them up. And it's like, really? Instead of actually adding context and depth and conversational options in the game, you just wasted all your time filling in collectible items. So I have to run around and play hide and go seek. For all the side cases, the clues you come across in predetermined locational spots of, hey, I can't progress forward until I find all the clues or a majority of the clues in this one location. But when it comes to the side quests, there are no reasons to pick these up. There is nothing to gain by picking these up. You have accomplished absolutely nothing. There is not even any Steam achievements associated with this. There is nothing, not even a shift tab to get into a Steam overlay. You have no reason whatsoever, out of curiosity for the lore or some side area of the story that you may be curious in. It is just meant to waste your time. That is it. It adds nothing to the actual gameplay of the story, and yet takes up so much of that same wanted to be story, which is an odd thing to say, but it doesn't add anything to the story, and yet they added so much to it that they were hoping it did, which it didn't. Yeah, exactly. Confusing. Why would they do that? But hey, they did. So what is the story? How does this roll? How does this play? Well, like I said, you start off as a detective and you get killed. That's no shocker. There are no spoilers in what I'm going to show to you. When you die, you find out that, your loved one is waiting for you on the other side. How adorable. And then that's it. You don't find out anything else about her. She doesn't play any role or inspirational help during a progression throughout the entire game. You don't come across anything the entire time, but keeps trying to push this like morality of religion upon you, where it's like, hey, if you're a good boy and you complete this, then you can go into a bright light and be with your loved ones. I don't need that for motivation. I just got killed, gunned down with my own gun by a guy. I'm obviously not crossed over because I have unfinished business because I want to find that fucker. That's all I need. Send me on a investigational chase with that. Not a mopey weepy, there are ghosts all around and everybody wants to go into the happy light and everybody wants to be all warm and fuzzy with their loved ones. Which annoys me to an aspect.
Ronan? Ronan? I can't believe it. I can't believe I found you.
Oh my God. Julia. I thought I'd never see you again.
You look good.
I look better. God, I've missed you.
I would give anything to be there with you. For us to be together again, but...
But what? No. Oh, no, not again, not you. If you're not here, where are you?
It's the other side of the bridge.
Bridge? What bridge?
Where you are is a prison. Or a bridge. It all depends on how you see it. Either way, where you are isn't safe. Do you hear me? We need to get you across the bridge. You need to move on.
Move on? Is that where you are?
Don't worry about me. Something about your life isn't finished yet. We don't have much time. Think. What about your life feels unresolved?
I don't know.
To figure that out. Now go.
No. Julia, you left me once and it destroyed me. Please don't leave me again.
We'll see each other again, love. Just save yourself.
No, Julia! Don't leave me, Julia! Damn it!
All the ghosts try to add an element of spook tied into the story. Now I get it for atmosphere. I really do get it for atmosphere. You're dead. You're in Salem, a town renowned for their witch trials. So it is set the stage for a supernatural area. Got it. But why are majority of the ghosts from the 18th century? And there's not enough of the newer age ghosts or in between. And what annoys me about the ghosts is the fact that they continually try to put these ghosts in your pathway, which are like, ooh, look at this is scary. One, I'm dead. I'm a ghost. I'm not going to be afraid of another ghost. Two, the ghosts disappear as soon as I get close to them. Three, the ghosts don't move, nor are they imposing or threatening during the entire story. You can add a little bit creeptastic music, and you can say, ooh, look at this ghost, he looks weird, or he looks kind of scary in the distance, or different, because he's wearing different clothes, and he has a different look from a different time area, so he's different, so he's scary. Okay, I get it, atmospheric. But gameplay-wise, it's not giving me that, oh wow, I'm in danger, or oh wow, I wonder what's happening next. A random ghost that died 200 years ago isn't going to be all that helpful in finding out what happened. Whenever I walk up or close to them, they just disappear. They're just filler. They're just excess waste of space. And one other thing about this story which just kind of pisses me off, and it may be a personal aspect, is the fact that your character is smoking a cigarette through the entire game. Now, if you want to smoke and it's a personal choice, that's perfectly fine. I don't hate the fact that he's smoking. I hate the fact that it's trying to make him look cool as he smokes. Like, hey, I got tattoos. I'm a big tough guy. And I'm a smoker. I'm going to take a puff and a whiff. And I'm going to talk all caveat every time something interesting happens. And be like, ooh, I'm a cop but a private eye and a bad guy. And I've got issues. Look at me smoke. I'm cool. It's just pathetic. And it shows it in like every scene. He's always having a cigarette. It's just gross. Now that may be my personal opinion right there, and that's perfectly fine. but it's annoying. And if you're a parent watching this and you're like, hey, you know what, maybe I'll get this game for my kid. Okay, but he's going to be seeing a guy who he may think is cool just running around having a cigarette in his mouth all day. It's your fucking call. Now, when it comes to danger, they try to add an element of demons. And the story, this is where it ties in to really nobody proofread this story. In the game, you have 5 zones, really. You have a cemetery, a little quick trip to the insane asylum, a church, a museum, and a police station. All those areas are tied to a town. You can run around the town within limitations and get to those areas. You will come across demons, or they call them demons, and if the demons see you, they'll eat you and rip you apart. The fact that you can easily kill them, okay, whatever, they get rid of them, no problem. But the story aspect of where they get placed is just kind of silly. You have to go to the church twice. The second time it's under much darker circumstances, so I get the fact that the second time there can be demons there, because the place has been corrupted in a sense. But the first time it's still pure. So why are there demons running about in a church? We've already established the line that yes, in this game there is a heaven and there is a hell. And if you're a good boy and girl, you can go to heaven to the bright light. Therefore meaning that everything that the church stands for is true, just, and responsible, and that it has the power to fight evil. So, by order of logic, what the fuck are demons doing running in the Lord's house? That's just retarded by their own logic. So there are definitely story elements that are just stupid, and that's just one example, ladies and gentlemen. The story is logistically a failure. Now, why I say logistically, and what I mean by that is when you play the game and you go from one area to the next area and you're either collecting items or you're not collecting items and you're just traveling through, the gameplay total is very small and the story doesn't add anything to the gameplay of the actual game. It plays and acts like a cinematic interactive movie, and to be more precise about that, to be exactly more clear, it plays like watching a B-rated movie on cable with commercials. I spent 8 hours playing the game before I beat it, and maybe, and I am being generous here, maybe, just maybe 2 to 2.5 hours was actual gameplay. So that means 5.5 was watching cinematics of some sort, or dialogue options, or running from one point to another. I don't associate running from, hey, I just got out of a police station and now I need to run all the way across town to the graveyard. That's not gameplay. That's wasting my time to move all the way across town and trying to fill that gap in time up with, oh, hey, look, you could, don't go, don't stop. Well, what are you complaining about? You have all these collectibles you can find. Look at all these hidden objects you can find that actually aren't hidden that well or that difficult to find. That doesn't help me. Where's my investigation? Where's my piecing parts together? Where is my, oh, what's going to happen now? Oh, you want those aspects? Oh, yeah, they have those aspects in the predetermined location or spots tied to a story, which makes sense if it was done right. Is the baseline of the story good? Yes. If you are interested in this game because of the story, go to YouTube, watch the story. There's no doubt somebody who's posted all the video clips of just the story aspects, the interactions of the conversations, and the cinematics. I'm sure somebody's put those all together, and just watch that entire thing, and you will have experienced the game. You will not be missing out on anything. You will not be overlooking anything. You will have experienced the entire game. It is nothing more than a show reel, and it is pathetic as a game. As a story, or as a movie, it may get by, but as a game, it is a failure. Now, you may be willing to overlook this aspect. You may be saying, well, you know what? I don't want a game where I'm actually having to have responsibility. I mean, no, I have responsibility at work or school. Why would I want that in a game? I want to play a detective game, but I don't want to actually detect anything. What are you thinking, man? Then this is a game for you. And that's just fucking sad, if that's your actual outtake on it. It is a detective game, yes. But you do not detect anything. You come up to a crime scene, or a room, or some area where you gotta be like, hey, what's going on in this room? All your clues that you need are in that room. Now you think, alright, maybe there is a piece of information in this room, and I go over and I look at this book, and this book has 2 pages of written text. Now, I have to deduct something from those 2 pages of written text, and then I have to tie that together with a picture frame on the wall. Then I have to use my geographic knowledge of the town and be like, hey, wait a minute, that picture tied into where the church is now, and also the words in the book, and that's where I need to go. No. This is not a detective game. You go into that room, it says, hey, you need to find X amount out of X amount of clues to be able to progress forward. So, you scooter along the wall, you look at the floors, you hit E when you come across one, it says, good job, you found a clue. This is a broken window, or this is a book, or this is a picture. And you're like, yay, I found a picture. And then once you get all the clues together, you think, well, okay, maybe now that I have all the clues together, I have to use my deductive reasoning skills and understanding of the lore of the world to actually piece it together. No. So you come across these stupid little cutscenes of, hey, you found a body, or hey, put these clues together. And then it gives you a question of like, what does this body represent? Or what do these clues tell you? Or what will make this person think of this situation? There are a few which are pretty obvious, but it asks them usually as, really? This is just so stupid and obvious. It's like, this person was drowned. They died. And it's like, did they die in the water? Did they wash up on the shore? It's like, well, obviously they washed up on the shore. I see their body on the shore. Are they wet? It's like, they just washed up on shore. What don't you understand about that? So not only does it say we are not going to give you the opportunity to detect or actually have any intrinsic value of the basic title of detection that they run with, they also say, oh, good job, little kitty, have a lollipop. You figured out that the dead corpse that came from the water and washed up on the shore was wet. Really? Really? Now, I'm not the smartest person, I have many flaws, but I don't like being treated as if I'm an idiot in a video game. As if, hey, we're not going to allow you to actually investigate or detect or overlook something? Oh my god. If you could overlook something in a detective game and you couldn't progress forward, wait a minute, what's that word? It would be a failure state, wouldn't it? You would have to look for it harder or you wouldn't be able to progress. Oh, wow, a failure state in a detective game. I'm a genius. What failure state do they have? Oh, you come across some demons. And if you die, don't worry, you'll just load up 15 feet back from where you were. Not a big deal. You lose nothing, and you have no worries about anything because we're here to take care of you. Because if any of the actual gameplay gets in the way of our cinematics, oh no, we can't have that. It's fucking pathetic. It is not a detective's game. You don't detect anything. There are no puzzles in the game. You don't have to break through barriers. You don't have to figure out clues and put them together to find out where you need to go next. It holds your hand like an overprotective mother in a grocery store filled with pedophiles. Just because they're in there doesn't mean they're gonna steal your kid. Now we'll talk briefly about level design because level design in this game was done fair but not amazing. You have a base town which you can run around and you have 5-6 zones which story will push you through those areas. I don't want to talk much about level design because really graphically all it is basic. You have maybe 1 layer or 2 layers or 3 layers on a building. Yes, a building has multiple layers. Congratulations on making that. But you're not interacting with this. You're not being like, hey, you know what? I just read a book in the attic which said that there was a secret lever behind the grandfather's clock that opens a cabinet in the basement. No. There is no interaction with the level design, so the level design becomes completely useless. And they try to make the level design a little bit more relative with the fact that there are demons running about which you can easily kill or hide from inside residue of ghosts. So the level design just comes down to the fact that, yeah, it looks decent for the atmosphere to tell the story. And it's big enough to where you can move about without feeling like a hamster on a wheel. But for an actual gameplay setting and interaction, no, it's fucking pathetic. If it was a first-person shooter, I'd say yes, this is a decent level design. But we're talking about a detective game, not a first-person shooter. We're talking about a usage of your environment, not an abuse or tactical element of the environment. A detective. I want to detect in a detective game. Why is that so hard to understand? So, at the end of the day, what is there? Graphically, the game looks decent enough to get by. It's not really open world. It's just one large big map broken into other maps. You are limited in your freedom and movement ability, and it works for the story aspect. I didn't have any issues on that regard. The voice acting was fine. It was the same quality, the same actors that you'd expect or see in other console games, and it fits for what the game was working with, but it wasn't anything that was definitely amazing. The story aspect on its own was, yeah, if you're watching it on TV, you're like, oh wow, that's pretty cool. But when you're playing the game and you're interacting with it, and you're like, wait, what? Why are you acting like this? Or why are you doing that? It's just so dull. The actual gameplay and investigational options of the game, there are none. You walk from one area to the next. You pick up clues which are very blatantly obvious to pick up. And then you blatantly obviously bash your head against the keyboard, and that's the worst case scenario because it says, hey, why don't you tell us which clue adds to this? And even if you fail, even if you're like, well, I don't know, and you click on every single clue and you have 20 clues, there's no failure state. There's no, oh, poor baby, now you lose something because you fucked up. No, you just keep clicking. You keep coming back and clicking. You're not even reloading. You're just clicking. Oh, that was wrong, try again. Oh, that was wrong, try again. There is no failure state in the game. There is no ability to actually have to think. There is no usage of objects in the game to interact with other objects. There are no puzzles in the game to break through and get into different aspects of the game. It's pathetic. As a story goes, sure. As the base story goes, watching a cinematic movie, it's fine. But as a game, no. I will not recommend it. And even if it is on sale for $10, if you really are driving and you gotta be like, oh, I just have to play this game because it looks so sweet, get it on sale. I won't hold it against you. No, of course not. Get it on sale though, otherwise you're just an idiot. But if you're expecting actual gameplay, if you're expecting to be challenged or have to actually think for yourself instead of just be led around by the nose, then you will definitely regret your purchase even if it's $10. The fact that they are still asking for $40 for this game is just mind-boggling. Now, perhaps when you see the review, it will be less, or it'll be on sale, and that will be a decision still you have to make. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for watching and listening. For I've been SocioPsycho, and I cannot recommend this game, and I will see you next time.